When this session began, we faced at least two significant constraints: historic budget challenges and a power-sharing agreement in the House. Many predicted that the prospects for real, measurable accomplishments were bleak, but here we are again with a chance to make a big difference for our future by improving our system of higher education. Higher education is one of the things that distinguishes us as a country, and it makes a huge difference for states and for people. Employment, income, quality of life all increase with education, but in Oregon and across the country, the numbers are not headed in the right direction. Younger people are not achieving the same levels of education as their elders, and that does not bode well for the future of our state. More than a year ago, the leadership of the legislature recognized the importance of higher education and convened a bicameral, bipartisan work group to make recommendations to this legislature. But in fact, post-partisan might have been a more accurate description, because as we worked together, convening in locations around the state, running up our cell phone bills, and having the discussions that led to today, we discovered that party affiliation was irrelevant, and we quickly came to consensus on the introduction of 3 bills. When 242 came to life, I imagined today, but I didn't really dare predict it, because too often we heard a very predictable response. We like your bill, but if you could just leave fill in the blank out. But we were dogged. We worked diligently to address those concerns, and on this there is credit to go around. Credit to the co-chair of the work group and the members of the work group, to the co-chairs and members of the policy committees. And while I wish we could take credit for all of the good things that are in this bill, all of the best practices and innovative approaches, we must also acknowledge the world-class experts from the Western Interstate Commission on Higher Education and the National Center for Higher Education Management Systems, who were our guides as we worked through the issues to bring a bill to you that I hope will earn your support. When someone asked me what Senate Bill 242 does, I said simply, it lets universities be universities. But of course, that's only part of the story. The bill changes the status of the university system from state agency to public university system. And for the first time, it puts community colleges at the same table. And that's important. When this bill passes, universities will no longer be treated the same as the DMV or the Department of Corrections. No longer would Portland State University need the help of the Department of Justice to get an attorney to help with a variance to build a building. No longer would Oregon State University need the Department of Administrative Services permission to fix a roof on a residence hall, or the permission of the legislature to build a residence hall. Perhaps most important, Senate Bill 242 lets Oregon's universities keep the interest earned on tuition payments that students and families send to them, without having to worry about them being redirected. That means universities can think and act for the long run. They can make a real estate sale or a purchase, or start a program that's needed for our state's future, confident that they can manage their own resources. The bill also requires new accountability, and that comes in the form of performance compacts, which will focus on outcomes, things like graduation rates or responsiveness to student needs. And that goes with each school's increased autonomy. Those will be developed by the newly created Higher Education Coordinating Commission, which takes on some duties that are currently done elsewhere, as well as the important mission that's in its name. By finally connecting the policies and operations of our universities with the important work that's being done at our community colleges, we're creating more cohesion for the entire system of higher education, and that's a long-needed piece of the puzzle that'll help set up our long-term success. Now, I admit this is not the most glamorous bill on higher education that's been introduced this session. This is not the flashy wide receiver with a trademark touchdown dance. It's the offensive lineman that clears a way and opens a path for the wide receiver. If you're not a football fan, think of it this way. This bill is the beginning. It sets up structures and policies that allow for bigger and better things. Higher education in all forms has to be accessible for all Oregonians, and this is no small thing we do today to set a foundation for new ways of delivering higher education in Oregon and increasing opportunities. Its passage acknowledges that higher education is key to our future. So as I ask for your vote on Senate Bill 242, I ask for something else. I ask you to get ready to continue our work on higher education into the next session and beyond, and to remember what Aristotle said, that on the education of youth hangs the fate of nations. I think that's true for states as well, and I urge your aye vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.